In 2021, early spring, I had set off to do a little art project where basically I put myself on a challenge to see how many people's player characters I could draw as fast as I could and complete it. I didn't have any restrictions on who could be a part of this, who wants to join, who wants me to draw their player character whatsoever, and, well, honestly, any artists who willingly put themselves up to this challenge are basically asking to get tortured. It's like CBT levels of torture, and honestly, I was pretty confident that I could do it because, well, simply put, I've developed my art style to be pretty damn fast. Originally, I planned to draw to make some comics, which I did make some comics, but it was never the stories that I wanted to tell quite yet. I still have not really started on telling the stories that I really wanted to tell, but that's an entirely different story, but that's why I can draw pretty dang fast. Unfortunately, for about everybody involved, it wasn't as if my art style was particularly the best. If you take a look at my other drawings within this time period, you'll notice that some of my drawings aren't exactly as good as they are now. That is because I had no fundamental grasp of structure or like a fundamental structure that I wanted to build, sketching out an idea, a process of art that basically helped form the idea better. And essentially, if you take a look at the drawings within this time period, you'll notice the inconsistent proportions, inconsistent anatomy, all this stuff is very off. And it's always inconsistent. Sometimes the eyes are out of place, the belly button was way too goddamn low, the arms were either too short, too long, the body was either too long, too big, rib cage was misplaced. And I can keep going on being more critical about my art at the time. However, the thing is that I couldn't care less because the thing is, I'm gonna get rushed. I already know at the time that I'm gonna get rushed with a bunch of people who want free art, and and you know, it is a legitimate offer, and I will be proving it very consistently by posting a lot of updates, by showing people that I am more than willing to draw it. It isn't exactly the most quality of things, but it is an offer that exists, and honestly, there aren't many people who aren't willing to just take such a free offer. Don't look a gift horse in the eyes, after all. And, well, it isn't to say that I'm intentionally ignoring mistakes or just sketching and then being done with it. However, it is something that I'm not as concerned about because at the end of the day, I have to accept that there will be some mistakes. And the fact that I'm starting this project to get used to drawing a huge amount of characters in a short amount of time. And not to say that this project wasn't something that I found neat. I genuinely thought it would be neat to just have like everybody's player character all within the same orphanage, drawn all together, just seeing the variety and everybody's different creativity, how they designed their player character, everything of the sort. I genuinely thought it was neat. However, my original idea was actually to have everybody draw their own character because I wanted to incentivize them making their own art and doing all this. However, if I haven't seen so many bloody comments about how people can't draw a stick figure, how they can't even draw a circle, how they suck at drawing, and how even the more talented artists probably won't even bother adding their character to the entire thing anyway because it takes a lot of time and effort too, well, I already knew that that idea was a bust. So I instead decided to completely step aside the entire problem of having other people draw their own character or having someone else do it out of kindness, and I just do the entire thing myself. So the project began, somebody sent their player character, and I immediately got started working on it. It wasn't really that much to say at the time, considering that, you know, it was just like, more people came in, of course, but that was basically already within expectation anyway. And, of course, I could handle it. 2 hours in, I had forgotten that I hadn't flipped the canvas whatsoever, and I had opted from thereforth to never flip it again because I do not want to see what it's like flipped. I also noticed that I tended to draw the winged characters with their wings spread out, so I immediately realized, I made a joke that later on, as the drawing keeps on getting bigger and bigger, people are going to hate the people who have wings because they're going to cock block the other people's designs and characters. It was only 2 hours in, and already I had 17 characters that were in the queue ready to be drawn. to be colored and then finally shaded and detailed in that respect, which is definitely something. But again, I didn't really mind too much. Immediately after I took a break for about an hour or so, I got back to drawing, and immediately the next one on the list was more detailed, more refined. That may also be because I received a better reference, a more drawn reference for that specific character, and, well, I was able to go off of more from that image, whereas I'm usually stuck with a sprite and have to interpret it in my own way. It seems like even back then, I stayed up way past midnight just doing my own thing instead of like sleeping at a reasonable time like a reasonable person, but again, it's not like I had a job back then. Not yet, anyway. Not still for like 4 more months. But that's the end of the first day. I'll worry about how painful work is when I get to it. But otherwise, that was the end of the first day. Got 8 player characters, flatly colored, not really shaded or anything of the sort, but otherwise, yeah. I think it's been going well. I only have like a few more to draw line art of and then color and whatnot, but otherwise, yeah. After this, well, it's basically the same thing. Days 2, 3, and 4, and 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's just people sending me their player character for me to draw. If, of course, there were any who didn't mind it. And also just me drawing it. It wasn't really that big of a deal, again, but because of how many people already got submitted and how much space, I've been trying to keep it small as well. I ended up having to expand the drawing vertically because I already was expanding the drawing pretty horizontally already, and I didn't want the final product to end up to be a very, very long drawing, which you'd have to struggle to see the whole thing. So I'd rather just expand it horizontally at this point, which is what I did by adding a little tree sketch to the background. A little funny thing that happened, one of the characters which was submitted to me turned out to be a guy instead. I thought it was a girl based on their clothing, but unfortunately this won't be the first time it happens, and in my fairness, it had an androgynous design as said by the person who made them, but yeah, no, it's not gonna be the first time I'm gonna make this mistake. I actually had the idea to sneak in Waldo into this drawing after it becomes big enough. I'm not gonna tell you when, I'm gonna let you guys look out for it. At this point, it was already getting pretty large. I hadn't even drawn half of all that was given to me. And, well, I decided to make use of the fact that a lot of the fucking characters have wings and just slap them in the sky. After I had finished flat coloring the first 14 characters, I decided to start drawing the orphanage, which everyone starts at in this game. And, well, one of the characters was taller than the door frame, which is really, really funny. I gotta say, I really didn't expect them to be that tall. I made a little joke about a tree transformation being the game, maybe as an update. I noticed that I accidentally drew one person's left arm way more longer than their other arm, and I did the thing I said I wouldn't do and flipped the canvas to take a look at all of my mistakes, which luckily at the time didn't look that bad, apparently. People began to catch on that I was in fact serious about drawing everybody who asked to be drawn, and people already decided to joke about how many people would be in there by the final drawing. And at the rate I was going, 347 was not a bad guess. One of the characters looked like the Emergence girl from 177013, and I couldn't help but nickname them that. Once I went into the flow of this project, I can say that I've improved, not only within my art style and the level of quality that I provided, but also with time, and the fact was that I was also working on other drawings on the side of it, and this big project here was very, very good practice for my art as well. Drawing various styles, different qualities, details, and things that I originally never actually dealt with. As the drawing went on, I realized that I was running out of space in the sky, on the trees, and on the ground. But luckily, I had drawn the background for the orphanage, and I could just slap the characters on there, have them sit on the roof and whatnot, have some fun on there, and no biggie there. It all worked out in the end. But I had to check how I'm going to do it, considering the fact that this is a very small roof and I'm probably going to only fit a few amount on there, and I still had quite a few more to go. Of course, I ended up thinking that the cat girl with ponytails was in fact a cat boy, so I had to remove boobies. 2 weeks in, and I feel really burnt out from drawing so many characters. And although I wanted to force myself to take a break, at the same time I was already forcing myself to keep going because I know what I'm like when I have a work in progress. A little unfinished work that I said I'd get back to. I never get back to it. So I kind of gotta keep going on it if I don't want to drop this ball. And finally, I had finished coloring in and detailing the building alongside adding the sky, got the trees done, and there's a few more characters here and there, and I confess that I ended up shipping some of the characters together. The characters, I just kind of haphazardly placed them all randomly together. I didn't really have a particular reason for placing them together the way that they are. I just try to fit them all together, but like as I realized later on, I kind of realized, hey, wouldn't these two make a good pairing? And I ended up having that thought, and I couldn't help but share it. I added a few more touches to my drawing and a little extra detail there, and somebody decided to use their character in my drawing as their profile picture, if only for a little moment during that time, and I gotta say, it felt good. I'm glad that people really liked my art. It wasn't exactly the best as it was back then, and I still had more ways to improve at the time, but I'm still glad that people liked it. Some person suggested that I could try and place some of the characters in the trees, since I was trying to compact all the characters into this drawing so that way it doesn't get too big and whatnot. And I'm kind of glad for that suggestion. I made use of that, and I'm very grateful for it. People began to feel bad for me and started like asking others to stop requesting their characters for me to draw. And also the fact that I was indicating a bit of guilt for not being able to finish it on time, despite how, well, in my head as well, I was bragging about how I could finish it in a decent amount of time, which you had to say, it wasn't really that bad. It really wasn't, but it was nice to see that they were a bit concerned for my well-being, but again, I could handle it. It wasn't as if I was working at the time. Not yet, anyway. That's when the suffering really begins. You work, you lose. It's been nearly a whole month since I started this project, and I decided to add like a little stone wall back behind the orphanage, since this place takes some place in Europe. I added a little nest there, put like a bird up there, a little wolf. There's like plenty of characters here. It's growing bigger and bigger, and I gotta say, it's looking pretty dang wonderful. Somebody noticed a little secret that I hid, and I am so glad somebody finally did. And, well, the joke about how long this drawing is gonna take and how many people I'm gonna add to this drawing, yeah, I found this little piece of literature incredibly amusing even now. I completely forgot about this now that I'm making this video, but honestly, I honestly would have kept going had I not gotten the job. A few days later, I worked on a little bit more detailed stuff, done all this, and also drew my character in there as well, my player character in there. And I decided, since everybody already found the secret that I hid, I decided to move them and have them try and find it again. So it really wasn't hard for people to find them yet again really quickly. Probably because now they know I've hidden it. And, well, I have fun from here forth, just like moving the little secret around and just seeing who catches it first and who can spot them. And I'm also going to have you guys have fun do the same too in this little video, if the resolution can even keep up anyway. I think this is the second time I've said I'm almost done with this drawing, but I never actually was, because people then suddenly came in asking me if I could add their player character into this drawing, so it was always just like, oh hey, I think I'm almost done with this, and immediately like 5 more pop up, which made this drawing even bigger than it was. Which, you know, gives it more company. I like the extra details, and it made me get creative on how I'm gonna put all of them in here. It's basically like the fast food equivalent of saying it's slow. Every single time I say it's almost done, 5 more people come in. It's been a month and a week since I started this project, and I noted to others and also noticed personally that I had been feeling sluggish around this time period. And, well, that was probably because I had many things going on in my life. At the time, I was 19, still living with my parents, and I had no job. And, well, my family is emotionally draining, toxic, very, very hard to deal with. Every single time I talk with them, it took all of my energy just to deal with them, especially my annoying, pathetic excuse of a mother. And, well, it was very, very hard to really get past it alongside sleep issues and just getting interrupted. My mom constantly belittling me over and over again, how I'm like essentially worthless, how I don't have a job, when I'm going to get it, constantly bothering me, constantly annoying me, constantly just making it annoying because she keeps on bringing up stuff that I don't want to think about, and the fact that she brings it up still has not changed a single thing at all. She doesn't help more than she does complain. And, well, that's all you really need to know about them. They're just constantly pathetic. They constantly bring up stuff that don't help anything. They're just kind of there to point out problems and then leave me to solve it over and over, day by day, hour by hour. And, eventually I did get a job. I was still living with my parents though. But, well, that was a very, very short career because, well, simply put, getting a job did not stop them from being as abusive, as emotionally taxing on me as I hoped it would have. Updates eventually slowed. Took a very, very long month break from this, and, well, I wanted to get back on it because I didn't want to leave this project unfinished. And, well, people were surprised that I was still going. And, feels good to just surprise people and make them feel the stuff that I do with my work and all the stuff I've made. And, kind of brightened up my day when people recognize that this project and who I am and me making stuff. 4 months into this project, about 3 days before I start working, and people have already suggested that I put a cap on how many people get in, which I did say would be for the best, but I was kind of against the idea because I didn't want to end the project at whatever meager number that I had. Despite how big the drawing is, I still considered it a very, very small number. It was a very big drawing, yes, but I wanted to keep going because I was sure I could keep going and making more, but, well, life hit. Among Us. Not sure if this is the third time or if there were more times I had mentioned I've kind of almost completed this drawing, but well, I managed to draw everyone's line art for only a little bit of time, and I gotta say, I felt like I've accomplished quite a bit. And, it's been like the first few weeks of work, I was keeping up and I felt good. And somebody also made a comment about how sad it is that there's a lot of angels sitting in the sky. And given how kind of fucked up the world inside the game is, I never actually thought about it. I just slapped them in the sky because there's no room on the ground, and then I realized, like, oh damn, this is actually kind of fucked up by complete accident. Made it more of a masterpiece than I thought it would have been. But yeah, nah, that was unintentional, but it just made the drawing even more better. I almost forgot about the fact I was knocked out sick for 2 months straight, almost as soon as I started work. Just spent a month at work, and all of a sudden, felt sick, got chills. It was just a complete random viral infection. None of the doctors knew anything about it, and I just kept on chugging along whatever prescribed medicine I was. Found out I was allergic to one of them, and just constantly vomited every single goddamn time I consumed the medicine, and it really, really was not good. I honestly felt awful, but, while I was completely down, miserable, and suffering the hell I'm at, couldn't even sleep properly at the time, I figured I may as well work on this drawing since it's probably going to be the only thing I get to work on. Oh, hi there. I don't recall mentioning, if at all, why I wanted to keep this project size relatively small. And that is because I can't really post very, very big files onto Discord. And if an image is too big, then Discord will just not allow you to upload it unless you have Nitro. And I wasn't planning to buy it, so. And finally, we've reached like around 8 months or so since I started this, and I've been slowing down my progress quite a bit because I've been busy with work and whatnot. And also, people have begun using my memes as like timestamps for how long this drawing has been around. April came around, and yes, the project has gone along for that long now. And for my April Fool's prank, I pretended that my entire orphanage drawing project file got completely corrupted. I didn't really keep it in for more than half an hour because I didn't want to scare people too much. But I thought it would be funny, but unfortunately, I'm not much of a good jokester. In fact, my prank was basically giving people a fucking heart attack. Ah, man. Nearly a whole year later since I started this project, just a month short, and I decided to cap the project and call it uh, the final stretch. There won't be any more characters I would be drawing, there wouldn't be anything else. From here forth, it would be more simply flat coloring anybody and then calling it done. I also just like a month prior to this update, I got sent to a mental hospital. I was the one who actually got myself tested and like just evaluated if I needed it because of some shit that was happening in my life. And I decided, yeah, nah, I'm gonna go fucking nuts if I don't get fucking help. I can't say that the trip was that bad, but I'll say that uh, it really is not as helpful as you'd think if the only thing that kind of happens there is you getting doped up on antidepressants and uh what else? Alright, it's basically a more luxurious prison. We have a lot of freedom per se, but we're kind of just stuck there until we improve our behavior. You know, we get let go very in short term and whatnot, but it's basically be on our best behavior and we get out, and that was really about it. For fun, I decided to see how much my drawing would be worth if I actually decided to sell it as a commission work. If one person had commissioned me to do this drawing would be worth about $1,055. Yep. And finally, nearly a whole year later, just about a week and a half short, uh, I was done. I called it done. Everybody was flat colored. I didn't get to detail everybody, but I called it done because, well, I got tired. You know, there was a lot of stuff that kind of inhibited me, and just like this was also kind of like the last stretch of my artist soul, really. Uh, you know, after this year, I just kind of called it quits and kind of stopped making art entirely. And, you know, I'm just looking back on this moment where I finished like an entire drawing of like 69 different characters. I honestly could have made more if, you know, I had the mental strength and willpower to. If I had the peace of mind to just have fun, to work on it non-stop. I honestly could have continued working on it. I could have had like thousands of them, if anything. Like, at the rate I was going, it was like 2 characters per day. Just, if that were just my day job, just like drawing a character, 2 characters each day, and, well, you know, could have kept on going. Since the day I started it, it's been nearly a whole year. 365 days are usually in a year, not counting leap years, of course. And multiply that by 2, that'd be like 700. And well, honestly, I worked faster when I was, you know, in the early stages because my art wasn't as refined as it is now. And honestly, it could have been higher. But I only managed to complete like roughly less than 10% of what I managed. What I probably could have if I did keep up the pace. If I did draw 2 characters every single day and people, you know, decide to submit their characters, you know, I could have probably made it to that number easily, but, well, I don't want to really end this video on a really sad note, but that's kind of the life I've kind of lived. I ended up like closing this project at 69 characters because why not? Funny number, but it kind of got closed because I simply didn't have the energy to keep going on. I didn't have the power to, and honestly, I was still recovering from all the shit that happened to me that year. And well, the following year still wasn't as kind either. And well, I guess it shows and proves that your art can improve over time if you just keep on practicing. That, you know, you could probably do the same if you put in the time and effort to. That, you know, anybody can accomplish something as great as that. You can make people smile with all your talents and all sort, but uh, to me, this is just like the part of my life where I had a soul. I wanted to draw, and I kept drawing and drawing, and I found happiness in people finding the art that I've made good, and uh, it's just kind of over now. I could have done better. I could have. Now that's all I could really think about is that if it weren't for my circumstances, I probably could have made more. Honestly, 69 is not that much. I honestly felt like I could have kept up to 100, but it's just like I simply didn't have the energy because of my family, because of work, and I did leave work after the mental health incident and whatnot. But I really just I don't know what to tell you guys. It's an achievement, and I'm proud of it, but well, aside from this small group of strangers, nobody's really gonna acknowledge or really praise me for the level of work I've really done. And, I haven't really talked with the people in here that often after the drawing. It's just kind of been like sometimes I frequent here just to steal some of the memes, and that's really about it. So, there really isn't a good ending that I can say honestly, but I'd like at least to somehow leave it on a silver lining, but unfortunately, I'm gonna take some time to think about how to do that. I guess the silver lining is that with such talent, I felt like I brought many people together, looking forward to something, and I was capable of doing so. Because that's the silver lining, that I was capable of doing that, and, well, maybe, who knows.